Hi, good morning everyone. Teng Boo again. This time I'll be recording the video from Shanghai. And as you probably know, I've been traveling quite a bit to China. This is also another research trip. I've been seeing most of the time semiconductor companies in China. I think it's going to be a very important topic for many years to come. Anyway, I'm not sure if you all are aware that President Trump has launched wars, battles on many fronts, locally, domestically within US and abroad. One of the most consequential wars that he has launched is breaking out on the grounds of the American universities. This is where, in a very unprecedented move, President Trump and his team has launched a full-scale offensive against America's top universities, particularly Harvard University, citing antisemitism and accusing Harvard of coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party. So in this fierce, ferocious battle between President Trump and Harvard University, who will win? Who will lose? This is a gigantic showdown that will possibly shape not just America's future, but the future of the world. So stay on, and if you, after this, you like it, please put a like, share, and if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so.
Members of the class of 2025 from down the street, across the country, and around the world. Around the world, just as it should be.
I'm very convinced that this battle between President Trump and Harvard University cannot be seen in a narrow context. It cannot be seen in isolation. If you have watched my previous videos where I talk about Project 2025, MAGA, Make America Great Again, and how they're linked to this concept of accelerationists. They're all tied together. So they're all intricately linked with one another. You have to see this fight between Trump and America's top university, particularly Harvard, in that wider context. Then you will begin to understand the very serious consequences that this fight between Harvard and Trump, the serious consequences that it will produce, not just for the United States, but for the rest of the world as well. If you are concerned with the trade war, yes, that is another war, that is another battle that is moving in all kinds of directions. It's moved from negotiations, political confrontation, to all kinds of judicial battles within the United States. Forget about the war. Now, the war is, Trump's war is now with Harvard University. Let me just quickly run through with you the timeline. In January this year, Donald Trump began his second term by cracking down on the DEI programs, the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And he launched it on American colleges, businesses, and American government departments. By February 2025, the task force of the US Department of Justice said that it would visit 10 schools, including Harvard, to eliminate, to root out antisemitism. Early March 2025, the Trump administration cut $400 million of federal funding to Columbia University, another American top university, and the U.S. Department of Education sent warning letters to a dozen American top universities, including Princeton, Yale, and Harvard. By the end, 31st March 2025, the Education Department, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the U.S. General Services Administration announced an official review of $256 million in Harvard contracts and $8.7 billion in multi-year grants. 11th of April, Harvard got a letter saying that it has failed to meet the conditions that would justify federal investments, including demands from the Trump administration, such as the governance, overhauling its governance, cutting its DI policies, and reforming its hiring practices. 14 April 2025, President of the Harvard University rejected these demands as unconstitutional. The Trump administration froze $2.2 billion worth in multi-year grants and $60 million in multi-year contracts. The battle accelerated. By 15 April 2025, Trump put a post in his Truth social media, suggested that Harvard could lose the tax-exempt status. That's worth a lot of money. He accused Harvard of pushing political, ideological, and terrorist-inspired supporting sickness. 16 April, U.S. Department of Homeland Security demanded records of illegal and violent students from Harvard. The deadline was 30th April. 21st April, Harvard filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration for violating the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. 30th April, remember the deadline was 30th April, Harvard said it shared information, but no details were provided to the media. On 2nd of May, Donald Trump threatened again the tax-exempt status. 5th of May, Trump administration said it is cutting all new federal grants to Harvard University. 19 May 2025, the Department of Justice announced it will use the False Claims Act to crack down on American universities over the DEI policies. And the HHS, the Homeland Department, also said that it is terminating $16 million worth in federal grants to Harvard. 22nd of May, the Homeland Secretary, Kristi Noem, announced revocation of Harvard's Student and Exchange Visitor Program. By doing that, the Homeland Secretary blocked Harvard University from enrolling new foreign students and saying that current students will have to transfer to other places to continue their studies. This Secretary Kristi Noem accused Harvard, America's top university, of coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party, citing research collaborations with Chinese scholars. So immediately, the Student and Exchange Visitor Program or Service Program, the certification was revoked. Service is managed by the Department of Homeland Security and is the main system that authorizes students from foreign countries to study in America. America has got about 1.1 million international students at higher education. That is a lot. That is at a record high. Now that announcement by the Homeland Security secretary, has triggered another chain of events and actions which have accelerated. And remember, the objectives and the tactics and the strategies contained in Project 2025. That is a thick document, a manual of nearly 1,000 pages of what the Trump administration should do. In 2023 academic year, Harvard University has about 3,900 students from Hong Kong and mainland China. In 2023-2024 school year, about 280,000 students who studied in America came from China, second only to students from India. So we're talking about huge numbers, big impact on the American academic system.
Are you tired of doing investment research on stock markets? Want to spend time on your hobbies or go out with your friends instead? Introducing iCapital, where you can get independent, objective, and comprehensive investment advice on the go. Available in English and Mandarin and can be accessed via app, website, and print copy. We provide thorough, first-hand research-based findings on listed companies, economies, and stock markets, and clear perspective of how markets interact and how they influence investments, as well as provide Malaysian and global stock recommendations, stock portfolios with outstanding performance to follow. Subscribe now to iCapital for stock news. From only 49 ringgit a year, start investing like a fund manager. Subscribe now at www.icapital.biz.
The Trump administration also announced that it will pause issuance of new student interviews, visa interviews, because when you apply for visa, you have to go for interview. So that the Trump administration can vet the background of the students in social media. Then Marco Rubio, US State Secretary, said a few days ago, the United States will start to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students. The United States will also revise visa criteria to enhance security of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China. It is very specific. It is targeting students from China. Shortly after the announcement that the US government was going to freeze 2.2 billion in research funding to Harvard University, suddenly the research activities in Harvard University came to a halt immediately. This research concerned projects on, for example, radiation exposure, tuberculosis treatment, and so on. So can you imagine, if you are a researcher in Harvard University, suddenly you find out that, well, I have no more research project to conduct anymore. What is going to happen to my future? In contrast, on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, Fudan University celebrated its 120th founding anniversary. In stark contrast to Trump's war against his country's own top academic institutions, Chinese President Xi Jinping sent a letter of congratulations to Fudan University. Xi Jinping also extended congratulations to the faculty, the students, and alumni of Fudan University. Just like China's approach in improving her massive economy, China's approach towards her education system has produced impressive long-term results. Take STEM doctorates, for example. China has consistently produced more STEM doctorate graduates than America since about 20 years ago. And the gap between these two economies is growing wider and wider in favor of China. A 2021 study by CSET predicted that by this year, Chinese universities will produce around 77,000 STEM PhD graduates, compared with only about 40,000 in the United States. The thing is, the gap is going to grow wider. Now, if you look at the chart that shows the STEM PhD growth from America and China, the gap is growing wider. And what is crucial is that if you look at the PhD STEM graduates in the United States, about 40 to 45% of them are foreigners. If you look at just domestic PhD STEM graduates in the United States, they're a lot less. And these foreigners, they're mainly coming from China. So if you exclude the foreign PhD graduates in the United States, Chinese STEM PhD graduates would outnumber their US counterparts by 3 to 1. And the gap is growing wider. So what is important about STEM PhD graduates? First thing is, you have to remember that the quality and quantity of a country's doctoral graduates is a very important indicator of the country's future competitiveness. The thing is, the CSET study also found that the quality of doctoral education in China has improved a lot in recent years, and that much of China's current PhD growth comes from China's high-quality universities. So, what you're seeing is not only is China producing more STEM PhD graduates, but China's capacity to produce skilled PhD level STEM experts is growing rapidly. So this Trump's very vindictive battle with top American universities like Harvard will actually worsen the gap between United States and China. It is pretty puzzling why Trump is doing what he's doing, because I'm not sure whether he or his team are aware of the long-term consequences for American top universities and the quality of the American economy, because you are turning away top talents from the rest of the world. America has a population of 340 million. The rest of the world has about 8 billion people. Already, top American universities are falling behind their Chinese counterparts. If you see the diagram that we're showing you, this is from 2010 to 2022, top research institutions based on highly cited STEM publications. You can see from America, there are two. Harvard University has been dropping, has been way below the ones from China, and that's the University of California system. University of California system refers to UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, and so on. So both of these two top American universities have seen the citation dropping, and the ones from China have been rising, and the gap is widening. At the same time, an unknown university in Chengdu, Sichuan University, has now overtaken Stanford, MIT, Oxford University, and University of Tokyo, according to Nature's Index. As I've explained in the past, Nature is a highly respected scientific journal with a history of about 120, 130 years. So based on their ranking, Sichuan University has jumped up to 11th spot, as you can see from the table. Now, what is interesting is this. If you look at number 1, there is Harvard University. Below Harvard University, number 2 to number 11, they're all universities from China. So with Trump very fiercely belittling Harvard University, Harvard's number 1 spot will not last long. And guess who will take over? This, according to Professor Simon Marginson, he's the professor of higher education in Oxford University. He told NBC News that Trump's campaign against Harvard is a terrible policy error that could undermine the world-leading role the United States has played in research and development since after Second World War. The downturn, according to this professor, in international students would affect American universities' talent pipeline and, of course, income of American top universities, while benefiting America's competitors. According to Professor Marginson, China will become significantly more attractive than before to students and researchers from especially the global south. And of course, Western Europe will benefit as well. Long before this aggressive anti-China era of Trump 1 and now Trump 2, more and more Chinese STEM graduates will remain in China or return to China rather than staying back and getting bullied in the West, especially the United States. Since 2012, more than 80% of overseas Chinese have returned to the mainland. This is a major reversal from only about 5% in 1987 and 30% in 2007. So with much better prospects at home, with the Chinese government policies so positive towards scientific research, and they don't have to tolerate the race-based bullying in the West, it means that the grass for these Chinese students is no longer greener on the American side. The annual number of scientists leaving the United States for China has increased by a factor of 5 in the last 15 years. Then this will accelerate. In this war between President Trump and Harvard University, both of them will lose, with serious consequences for the United States, long-term consequences. So the direction for the future of higher education in China and United States is clear. You may think that, well, Trump has got only a few more years in his second term. Steve Bannon has already sounded that they're finding ways to make sure that Trump will get re-elected for the third term. Critically, and unlike in the West, China's STEM graduates gravitate towards jobs in engineering, design, technology, and basic research rather than in finance. For example, China is integrating her AI innovation with the real economy. Unlike America, the idea is to build AI innovation into China's very successful manufacturing and export-based model. This will make China even more competitive than what she is now. As I have said before, the last 75 years for China have been transformative and exciting. And with all these policies from Trump, whether it's on the trade side, whether it's towards Trump's own domestic top universities, and with what China is focusing on, I fervently believe that China's achievements in the next 75 years will surpass those of the last 75 years. And of course, with competitors like America, who is engaging in self-inflicted wounds. Whatever the American economy is going to be suffering from, they are all self-inflicted. With that kind of competitors, I think China will do even much better than I can ever imagine. Well, I'm not sure how things will play out, because if you have read Project 2025, if you understand the philosophy behind the accelerationist type of mindset, and if you know what MAGA is all about, drama that we're seeing that's being produced by the Trump administration will explode in the coming months, in the coming next few years. Because Project 2025 covers everything about making America great again. And Kevin Roberts said that it will be the start of America's second revolution. So now you know, as things unfold, America's second revolution covers and almost the entire spectrum of human activities. I hope you enjoy and benefited from this short video, and I definitely would be very happy if you can put a like, share our video, and more importantly, subscribe to our Capital Dynamics YouTube channel. If you have topics that you'd like me to comment on, please send in your comments. With that, I hope you have a productive weekend, and bye-bye.